Zhao Yuqing turned around without hesitation and did not even say a word of thanks. She would definitely not make such a deal with him. Shang Zihao stood at the door just like that. He seemed to have expected that Zhao Yuqing would leave directly. In the morning, he fell asleep, so he asked her to leave so easily, but it would not happen now. Aunt Qing. Shang Zihao called out softly. While talking, he also showed a beautiful smile, which made Zhao Yuqing feel a little better. How could a person as annoying as Shang Jiyu have such an excellent son? Well, is Zihao waiting for Auntie? Zhao Yuqing also showed a smile on her face. She reached out and touched Shang Zihao's little head. This child was silent, cold, and domineering, which was exactly the same as Shang Jiyu's character. But every time she saw him, she always gave him a smile. Aunt Qing, can you cook for me? I'm hungry. In fact, there were nannies and servants at home, but he really wanted to have a try. Zhao Yuqing held Shang Zihao in her arms with a smile and even picked him up. At that moment, a strange feeling ran through Shang Zihao's whole body. He stretched out his little hand and wrapped it around Zhao Yuqing's neck, making him feel happy for a moment. A bright smile appeared on his little face, which was as charming as a blooming flower in summer. Zhao Muqing looked at the smile on Shang Zihao's face. A pair of cute dimples and even a pair of canine teeth appeared on his delicate little face. It turned out that Shang Zihao also had such a sunny side like a child. She couldn't help kissing Shang Zihao's little face. Shang Zihao held Zhao Yuqing tightly, as if he wanted to find his mother on her. When Shang Jiyu came out of the room, what he saw was the scene in front of him. He narrowed his eyes slightly. His son was so nice to Zhao Muqing. In the past, he had never allowed anyone to get close to him, but now he let Zhao Yuqing hold him. He suddenly had a strange emotion in his heart. Why don't you go to your aunt's house? Yan Yang and Ling Ling are still at home. I have to go back to cook for them. They are not like you. If I don't go back, they will have nothing to eat. Zhao Yuqing could only say this in the end. She came here today just for Shang Zihao. If it weren't for him, she wouldn't have stepped in here. If I don't want those nannies and servants, can Auntie Qing cook for me? His meaning was obvious. If he dismissed those people, he would have no food to eat. Auntie, why don't you take you to your aunt's house? When you get there, you can play with Yan Qing and Ling Ling. Zhao Yuqing said with a smile. She did not notice the figure behind her at all. She always had a kind of reluctance to leave the child in front of her, just like how she felt about her own child. Okay, Shang Zihao's words were suddenly stuck in his throat. He stared at Shang Jiyu with wide eyes and didn't dare to say another word. In the future, you are not allowed to meet such an unscrupulous person again. Shang Jiyu opened his thin lips slightly. His son would be sold by the woman in front of him sooner or later. His son with such a high IQ would also become an idiot after meeting this idiotic woman. Hearing Shang Jiyu's tone, Zhao Yuqing was also angry. Damn it, how dare he say that I'm not a good for nothing. She suddenly put Shang Zihao in her arms on the ground and looked at Shang Jiyu angrily. Mr. Shang, do you have 3 or 4 eyes? Zhao Yuqing immediately looked into Shang Jiyu's cold eyes. She felt that there was a kind of coldness all over his body, which made her want to retreat. Shang Jiyu almost walked up to Zhao Yuqing and looked her up and down from head to toe. Do you want to kidnap my son? Shang Jiyu ignored her words and went straight to the point. She wanted to trick his son to go to her house. What was she trying to do? She found that she really had nothing to say to Shang Jiyu. How could he see that she wanted to kidnap her son? Zhao Yuqing didn't want to talk to him, so she turned around and left. Forget it, she didn't want to talk to him and waste her brain cells. Aunt Qing, I'm hungry. Shang Zihao looked at Zhao Yuqing, who had turned around, and said without any backbone. He looked at her pitifully. Looking at Shang Zihao's pitiful look, Shang Jiyu was really speechless. When did my son want to beg this woman? And he looked so pitiful, as if he, as a father, had abandoned me. Zhao Yuqing's firm heart softened obviously after hearing Shang Zihao's words. She paused for a moment, but she didn't look back. I'll send you some food some other day. As soon as Zhao Yuqing finished her words, she left gracefully. However, there was a trace of heartache on her face. In fact, she was reluctant to leave Shang Zihao. Shang Zihao looked at Zhao Yuqing, who was gradually leaving, and his little face had returned to its usual coldness. It was a kind of ice that had not changed for thousands of years. He only resolved it for the sake of Zhao Yaqing's smiling face. He glanced at Sheng Jiu and walked back to the villa with a diameter. Sheng Jiu looked at his son, and a sense of melancholy suddenly rose in his heart. His son had grown up, and he really didn't know his son at all. He never knew what his son needed. But now he knew that his son liked Zhao Yuqing very much. Looking at Zhao Yuqing's back in the distance, his mouth curved into a smile. It turned out that his son's taste was quite similar to his. He was also interested in this woman. Zhao Yaqing looked for a house outside. She didn't want to stay in Zhang Meiyun's house all the time. After all, that was not her home. When she returned to the villa, it was already very late. She was holding the business cards of several rental houses and seemed to be thinking about where to go. As soon as Zhang Weiyun saw Zhao Yaqing coming back, she immediately ran forward and exaggeratedly checked Zhao Yaqing's whole body, as if she wanted to see if she was hurt. Zhao Yaqing didn't know what was wrong with Zhang Meiyun and looked at her in confusion. Bing Qing, are you okay? You're so worried about me. It's so late, and I can't get through. Zhang Meiyun's face was full of blame. This girl went out and turned off her phone. If she didn't come back now, she would call the police. Zhao Muqing was surprised for a moment and then took out her mobile phone. As expected, the phone had been turned off. She smiled apologetically. Her mobile phone automatically turned off when it was out of power. Zhao Yaqing said with a chuckle. When she was abroad, she often forgot to bring her mobile phone. She remembered that Oh Mufeng also bought her mobile phone for her child in order to have a business relationship with her. Suddenly, she thought of Oh Mufeng. Since she returned to China, she had never contacted him again. She was used to his nagging. How could she stand the quietness? You. Hey, what did you say? Don't you know that I'm worried about you? Zhang Meiyun still said discontentedly. She reached out her little hand and pointed at Zhao Yaqing's head. Zhao Muqing looked at Zhang Weiyun. Was she worried about herself? Because of her casual words, she was deeply moved, and the softest part of her heart suddenly flashed. Thank you, Meiyun. It's so nice to have a friend like you. Zhao Yuqing said from the bottom of her heart. Hee hee. Zhang Meiyun laughed. It seemed that she wanted to say, you know that I'm good to you. My brother will come back tomorrow at 6:30 in the afternoon. At that time, you will get off work. Let's go together. In fact, Zhang Weiyun had already told Zhang Lingyun about Zhao Yaqing's return, and Zhang Lingyun came back early because of Zhao Yaqing. Of course, Zhao Yaqing did not know about it. Is senior brother coming back? There was a flash of surprise in Zhao Yaqing's eyes. She couldn't help but think of Zhang Lingyun's handsome face. It was a sunny and elegant young man. 6 years later, he should have grown into a handsome man. Zhao Yaqing thought in her heart. How would she face him after seeing him? 6 years ago, she left without telling him because she was pregnant. What would happen if they met again 6 years later? Yes, I told my brother that you were also here. Is my brother very happy? He still loves you as much as before, Zhang Meiyun said implicitly. Zhao Yaqing looked at Zhang Meiyun in shock. Zhang Meiyun's words shocked her so much that she didn't come to her senses for a long time. Is it true that Senior still loves me as much as he did 6 years ago? Meiyun, what are you laughing at? I already have 2 children. Senior is so excellent, so I will definitely find a woman who is more suitable for him, Zhao Yuqing said softly. Since they had no chance to be together 6 years ago, she no longer had any expectation for him, even though she had the same feeling for him 6 years ago. Zhang Weiyun held Zhao Yaqing in her arms and whispered in Zhao Yaqing's ear with a smile. I like you to be my sister-in-law. Her brother liked Zhao Yuqing so much. If he saw her again, he would not let go of her. Zhao Muqing was so stiff that she let drifting cloud hold her, and her heart was in a mess. When she came to the room, she was still holding those business cards tightly in her hands. Now she made up her mind to go out. She couldn't imagine the scene of living under the same roof as Zhang Lingyun. When she thought of his affectionate eyes and the pain of being rejected by her, her heart inexplicably trembled. Looking at the 2 sleeping children on the bed, a smile appeared on her face. Now, only her child could make her smile for a moment. He walked up to the children, gave them a good-night kiss on their foreheads, and then returned to his room. Tossing and turning, it was destined to be a sleepless night. However, after Zhao Yaqing left, he opened his big eyes and took out his mobile phone. Sure enough, someone wanted to add his number. Uncle's character is not bad. I'll keep it in mind after reading it. He sent a message to the person on the other side. Seeing that he wrote the wrong words, Shang Jiyu couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. If it weren't for the fact that he didn't know the words at such a young age, he would have thought that this guy did it on purpose. Of course I have a good memory. How do you want me to give you my money? Shang Jiyu typed with a smile. Uncle, you love talents as much as your own life. You and mommy are a match made in heaven. Zhao Yenyang didn't seem to be in a hurry to give Shang Jiyu money. He wanted to chat with him for a while. Shang Jiyu looked at the words in front of him and was speechless. This guy said that he loved talents as much as her mommy, and they were a match made in heaven? Did he have one? He just wanted to know how this guy would return his money. Boy, you can't afford the money, can you? Shang Jiyu tried to goad him. This boy was quite interesting. Uncle, it's useful to provoke others with the law. I just want to know if you look like me or not. Zhao Yenyang was very confused about this. Shang Jiyu not only looked like him, but also Shang Zihao. Shang Jiyu was stunned for a moment. He found that this guy's thinking reaction was also very fast. Now he was more and more curious about who Zhao Yuqing's husband was. I'm going to ask your mommy about this. I don't know either. What's your father's job? Shang Jiyu asked again. However, all he could do was remain silent. Just when he thought that this brat had fallen asleep and was about to log off, Zhao Yenyang actually sent him another message. I don't have a father. These simple and clear words shocked Shang Jiyu. The silence of this child must be sad. He couldn't help but think of Zhao Yuqing. She was so stubborn and wanted to protect her body. Wasn't it for her child's father? Why didn't she tell the children who their father was? Uncle, I'll give you my shares. Now it's worth 1,000,000 yuan. While speaking, he sent a series of things to Shang Jiyu, all of which were related to his shares. Shang Jiyu's face suddenly changed. At such a young age, he knew how to stir up stock. Shang Jiyu suddenly had a hunch that this child must be a business genius. Looking at the things on the screen, he was more curious about who Shang Jiyu's son was and who could make Zhao Yuqing give birth to such a talented son. However, just as Shang Jiyu was about to ask another question, he noticed that Zhao Yinyang's head had already turned gray. He stared at Zhao Yinyang's head for a long time. Early in the morning, Zhao Yaqing was shocked as soon as she opened her eyes. Damn, it's 7:40 p.m., and I'm going to be late for work. Zhao Yuqing quickly put on her clothes, picked up her bag, and rushed out. At this time, Ling Ling and Yan Yang also got up. Mommy, don't you want to send us to school? While talking, Ling Ling wanted to run to Zhao Muqing and hug her. Mommy, I'm leaving. I'll ask your Aunt Mei Yun to send you off. As soon as she finished speaking, Zhao Yuqing rushed out in a hurry. Yan Yang and Ling Ling looked at each other and then looked at the clock on the wall. Oh, I forgot. I played with this clock yesterday. It seemed to have been adjusted for almost an hour. Ling Ling suddenly said. Thinking of Zhao Yaqing rushing out with her eyebrows burning, she couldn't help but feel a little worried. Yan Yang glared at her. This little girl always did things in such a way that she didn't remember the consequences. She was exactly the same as his mommy. After she ran out, she didn't take the bus. She directly took a taxi to the company. It couldn't be late. Shang Jiyu was targeting her now. She didn't know how much bonus would be deducted if she was late. After rushing to the company in a hurry, she was surprised to find that there was no one in the company except for the guards. She couldn't help but be surprised. Wasn't she going to work today? But no one informed her? At this moment, her cell phone rang. Excuse me, are you a family member of Jiao Lu? A cold and emotionless voice came from the other end of the phone. Yes. Zhao Yaqing said softly. Why did he call her so early in the morning? Was his father looking for her? Your father is suffering from acute appendicitis, so he has to have an operation on horseback. Because in prison, no one is allowed to visit. You have to pay 200,000 in advance for the medical expenses, he said coldly without any expression. Zhao Yuqing's heart sank. My father is sick. 200,000 yuan? I only have 100,000 yuan in my hand. Where can I get the other 100,000 yuan? Okay, I'll go and get some money. I'll send it to you later. Zhao Yaqing's small hand held the phone tightly, and she couldn't help trembling. How could this be? She was fine when she went to see her father yesterday. After hanging up the phone, Zhao Yaqing didn't know what to do for a while. Zhang Weiyun had helped her enough. She didn't want to borrow money from Zhang Weiyun. Besides, how could her father live in prison when he was ill? She wanted to save her father. However, at this moment, a person suddenly flashed through her mind. Shang Jiyu couldn't help but think of the conditions that Shang Jiyu had given her. She couldn't help but smile bitterly. Do I have to do this if I want to save my father? She clenched the phone in her hand and then loosened it. She finally dialed Shang Jiyu's number. At the moment when she dialed the number, she could almost imagine Shang Jiyu's sarcastic look at her. But for money, she had no choice. On the way to the company, Shang Jiyu's cell phone suddenly rang. He didn't want to pick it up, but when he saw it was the number of Zhao Yuqing, he picked it up. Hey. He had a hunch that Zhao Yaqing would not call him for no reason, unless she needed him. Zhao Yaqing's small hand was still holding the phone tightly. She bit her pale lips, as if she was trying hard to hold back something. I'll hang up if there's nothing else. He answered the phone, but she didn't reply for a long time. He was unhappy, but at the same time, he had a hunch that what she encountered should be difficult to tell. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but smile. Wait. Zhao Yuqing said quickly, feeling nervous at the same time. I promised to be your lover for a month. Give me 10 million. Her voice was very soft and there was a faint sense of humiliation in it. Yesterday, she arrogantly said that she would not promise him, but today, she took the initiative to fall in love with him. At this moment, even she herself looked down on herself. Oh. Shang Jiyu raised his sword-shaped eyebrows slightly, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but become deeper. I remember that if you come to me again, things will not be so simple. Shang Jiyu said slowly. At this time, his car had already driven into the company, and what caught his eyes was Zhao Yaqing's petite and perfect figure. Zhao Yaqing was shocked, and a bad feeling suddenly flashed through her mind. At that moment, her big flustered eyes met with Shang Jiyu, who had just got out of the car. His figure was so slender and perfect. The weak light of the sun shone on him, making his whole body glow. From a distance, he looked like a prince coming out of a painting. Shang Jiyu immediately strode toward Zhao Yuqing with a smile on his face. For a moment, Zhao Yaqing was in a trance. He was the prince who was waving at her. Go to my office to print the contract and sign the lover agreement. Of course, you have the right to go back on your word before you sign it. Shang Jiyu's diameter passed by Zhao Yaqing, leaving a proud back. Zhao Yaqing gritted her teeth and looked at Shang Jiyu's back quietly. In the end, she braced herself and followed him. Her life was bound to be stained. So what if there was one more? In the large office, Shang Jiyu was elegantly leaning against the president's chair, and Zhao Yuqing was standing in front of him. The atmosphere made her inexplicably scared. This is a contract. If you think it's reasonable, you can sign it now. Shang Jiyu had a few more contracts in his hands as he spoke. Zhao Muqing did not take the contract, but looked straight at Shang Jiyu. What was written on it was no longer important. Didn't he want her to be his lover for a month? Wasn't he just going to sleep with her? Wasn't he interested in her body? Didn't he just want to humiliate her in bed? Since it was included in his lover, what else could she look at? Can I get some money in advance? Zhao Yaqing asked again. Her father needed money very much, so she had to get 200,000 yuan in advance. Shang Jiyu raised his eyebrows. This woman had indeed encountered something important. No wonder she was so anxious to find him now. He couldn't help but think of his son's money. If she knew that his son could earn so much money, would she still look for him? Of course, he would never tell her this. Okay, after you sign the contract, you can get 1 million in advance. Shang Jiyu looked at Zhao Yuqing's pale face, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. Zhao Muqing took over the contract in Shang Jiyu's hand, trembling. She didn't even look at it and signed her name directly. Anyway, she just went to bed. It was just a month. She thought that she had been bitten by a dog for a month. After signing the contract, she handed the contract to Sheng Jiu again, and there seemed to be a hint of indifference on her face. Looking at her expression, Sheng Jiu's eyes became a little deeper, and there was a trace of complexity in them. Why did she look like she was going to the battlefield? However, after taking the information from Jiao Yaqing, a rare smile appeared on his face. Well, from today on, you are my personal mistress. Sheng Jiu waved the information in his hand and said proudly. She could not escape from him in the end. What he wanted had never failed, and so did women. Jiao Yaqing stared at Sheng Jiu without blinking her big bright eyes. Wasn't she a lover? How could she become a mistress in the next moment? Her status was obviously a level lower. Can you give me the money now? She didn't want to talk nonsense with Sheng Jiu now. She only wanted to take the money to save her father. Sheng Jiu waved his hand at Jiao Yaqing, and there was a trace of desire in his evil eyes. Jiao Yaqing looked at Sheng Jiu. She didn't want to get close to him, but for money, she had to get close to him. She lived such a humble life in front of him. Mr. Sheng, what can I do for you? Jiao Yaqing took a few steps closer to Sheng Jiu and stopped in front of his desk. She looked at Sheng Jiu just like that. He could belittle her, but she couldn't belittle herself, so he just looked straight at Sheng Jiu. Before I get the money in advance, should I check my body first? As Sheng Jiu spoke, he looked at Jiao Yaqing's body. Finally, his eyes fell on her ample figure. Her smooth hand was so good that he couldn't help but think of that night. Jiao Yaqing took a step back subconsciously. Is this man a madman? He will fall in love at any time. Hasn't Mr. Sheng already experienced it? It was on that night. Jiao Yaqing said calmly. She had scolded Sheng Jiu hundreds of times in her heart. This man was simply a pervert. Oh, Sheng Jiu drawled, as if he had forgotten about that matter. After Jiao Yaqing's reminder, he remembered it. Jiao Yaqing only felt that her little face was a little hot. Why does this man have such a big reaction? Obviously, he deliberately made her embarrassed. At this moment, Sheng Jiu's cell phone suddenly rang. He looked at the caller ID and stood up calmly. In a while, you can go to the secretary's office to get an advance of 1 million yuan, and then go to the Mei Yi bar in the evening to find me. As soon as he finished speaking, he left gracefully. Of course, he took away the contract signed by Jiao Yaqing, with a smile on his face. Holding this contract, he seemed to be happier than if he had earned hundreds of millions of yuan. Looking at the back of the figure gradually disappearing into the distance, Jiao Yaqing was a little confused. She pulled out a bitter smile. Once again, she sold her body for money. Her self-esteem and pride. After giving the money to the person in charge of the prison, she wanted to see her father, but she had to go back in disappointment. When she thought of what Sheng Jiu had said before he left, she couldn't help worrying and fearful. She would never be clean again in her life. In the dark and windy night, in the VIP room of the Mei Yi bar, the clothes were messy and fell to the ground. The room was full of ambiguous atmosphere. Ah. Well. Mr. Sheng, hurry up and go in. Ah. The moans in the room were getting louder and louder. Jiao Yaqing stood quietly at the door and looked at everything inside indifferently. Was this the purpose of Sheng Jiu asking her to find him? She remembered that she had told Sheng Jiu that even if he slept with a woman in front of her, she would not care. Did he do this to prove what she had said? She would have thought that she really didn't care about it at all, but when she saw this scene in front of her, a strange feeling suddenly flashed through her heart. When she thought of how this man wanted her after he had someone else, that uncomfortable feeling would only grow stronger and stronger. The door was suddenly pushed open. When the woman lying under Sheng Jiu saw Oh Tian, she didn't avoid her impressive figure. Instead, she groaned louder, and there was a trace of complacency in her eyes. Jiao Yaqing did not look at the woman in Sheng Jiu's arms. Instead, she looked straight at Sheng Jiu. Mr. Sheng, I'm here. She finally knew what was going on. He had asked her to come because he wanted to embarrass her. The corners of Sheng Jiu's mouth curled evilly. He did not push the woman under him away, but he turned to look at Jiao Yaqing. How can you please me by learning from me? Under the blurred light, she couldn't see Sheng Jiu's expression clearly. I don't think I need to learn. Didn't Mr. Sheng have a good time that day? Jiao Yaqing didn't know why she said that, but when she saw that Sheng Jiu was intimate with another woman in front of her, she was very unhappy. Maybe it was because this man had possessed her. Although she knew that it was just a one-night stand, she felt a little wronged. Shang Jiyu raised his eyebrows slightly and stood up. His clothes were not messy, and the clothes on the ground belonged to the woman lying on the bed. He just wanted to put on an act for Zhao Muqing. As a result, he was very satisfied. Are you jealous? Shang Jiyu walked toward Zhao Yaqing gracefully. This was the second time he asked her this. He remembered that when he first asked her, she said that even if she saw him sleeping with her woman, she would not care. So, he asked her again just now. Zhao Yaqing was stunned. She knew what Shang Jiyu meant. She looked at the naked woman next to her. She couldn't tell what she was feeling. If Mr. Shang doesn't touch me after touching another woman, I won't care about it. But Mr. Shang has touched another woman. If you come to me again, I'm afraid of being dirty, and I'm even more afraid of being infected with illness, Zhao Yaqing said truthfully. In fact, she was not jealous. She just didn't want to share a man with her woman. Shang Jiyu's face turned livid in an instant. Very good, this woman thinks I'm dirty and is afraid of being infected. In that case, I'll dirty it for her. Shang Jiyu suddenly approached Zhao Yaqing and pounced on her. Before Zhao Yaqing could react, his sexy thin lips had already kissed her. Zhao Yaqing's small hand pressed tightly against Shang Jiyu's chest. The unique scent of lemon assailed her nostrils. She was shocked and a hint of panic flashed across her face. Shang Jiyu seemed to be punishing Zhao Yaqing. His kiss was overbearing and wild, full of possessiveness. His tongue forcibly pried open her teeth and got into her small mouth, lingering with her and absorbing her beauty. The woman lying on the bed actually wanted to say something, but when she saw Shang Jiyu's cold eyes, she put on the clothes on the ground and fled. She knew what would happen to Shang Jiyu. Ignoring Zhao Yuqing's struggle, Shang Jiyu held her in his arms and threw her onto the big bed. Zhao Yaqing touched the soft big bed and bounced off. She suddenly got up, but Shang Jiyu pounced on her at this time. Remember your identity. Shang Jiyu said overbearingly. He pressed down on Zhao Yuqing's small hand and kissed her hard. The place where he kissed left a bruise. Zhao Muqing paused for a moment, but she suddenly recalled the scene just now in her mind. Just then, there was another woman lying on the bed. Just a moment ago, he held another woman in his arms. Thinking of this, a wave of anger suddenly rose on her face. She really felt that this place was too dirty. It was so dirty that she suddenly felt disgusted. Looking at Zhao Yaqing's expression, Shang Jiyu's face became darker and darker. Is this woman so disgusted with my touch? What does the expression on her face mean? There had never been a woman who dared to show such an expression in front of him. She was despising his authority. His anger rose instantly. Mr. Shang, I want to throw up. Zhao Yaqing suddenly said. While she was talking, her stomach suddenly rolled. Fortunately, she didn't eat anything at night. She just retched a few times and didn't spit out anything. Shang Jiyu seemed to have been splashed with cold water on the spot, and his face turned from green to green. Damn it, this woman was disgusting to him. All his desires were extinguished at this moment. Your lover is unqualified, and the contract is invalid. Shang Jiyu stood up coldly, feeling extremely annoyed. For the first time, he would be accused of being dirty by a woman. And when he wanted her, she was so disgusted that she wanted to throw up. Zhao Yaqing patted her chest and breathed a sigh of relief. Only then could she relieve the nausea. She also stood up. The contract could not be abolished. She had to get the money now. She could no longer watch her father suffer in prison. I'm sorry. It was my mistake just now. If I can I change to another room? Zhao Yaqing suddenly said. She really couldn't stand to be on the same bed with another woman and serve the same man. She would break down. Change the room. Shang Jiyu suddenly thought of what had happened just now. It turned out that she was concerned about what had happened just now. Did it mean that she cared about him? Thinking of this, Shang Jiyu couldn't help but smile. With such a tall and handsome man, no woman would be immune to him, just like Zhao Yaqing. I'm not interested anymore. Shang Jiyu's tone was still cold, as if he had made up his mind to destroy the contract. Zhao Yuqing gritted her teeth. It was so hard for her to get the contract. How could she destroy it so easily? It was absolutely impossible. I can arouse Mr. Sheng's interest. Zhao Yaqing summoned up her courage and said. After that, she felt the hint in her words just now, which made her little face turn red. Really? Can you really arouse my interest? As he spoke, Sheng Jiyu looked at Zhao Muqing from head to toe. He didn't know if he didn't look at her or not. When he saw her, he was really frightened. He really didn't notice this woman just now. Otherwise, why didn't he notice that she was wearing such hot clothes? She was wearing a tube-cut dress, which had just wrapped around her butt, revealing her slender and attractive thighs, making people's imagination run wild. That tight-fitting shirt showed her curvy figure to the fullest extent. Her charming breasts made people's blood flow in reverse. With such a delicate little face, she wore light makeup when she came here today. Her golden eyes were tightly wrapped around her big watery eyes, which made people unable to see the size of her eyes. Her long eyelashes fluttered, adding a trace of lovely color to her. All of a sudden, he had a feeling that he wanted to hold her tightly in his arms and not let anyone see such an attractive side of her. Yes, please give me some time, Mr. Sheng. I can definitely arouse your desire. Zhao Yaqing said softly. Although what she said made her feel ashamed, she could only do this for money. It turned out that money was really so important to a poor person. Okay, I'll give you half an hour, Sheng Jiyu suddenly said. He had to admit that after seeing her look just now, there was already a strong desire in his mind. This woman was really a stunner. Upon hearing that she still had a chance, a happy smile immediately appeared on Zhao Yaqing's face. Sheng Jiyu had never seen her smile so brilliant. Her smile could not help but make him obsessed. In another room, Sheng Jiyu was elegantly sitting on the sofa, looking at Zhao Yaqing, who was standing in front of him. The blurred light shone on her little face, shining with a strange brilliance. Zhao Yaqing suddenly stretched out her little hand and held the zipper of her short skirt. Under Sheng Jiyu's gaze, she slowly pulled it open. She was wearing a pair of underwear. Sheng Jiyu just stared at Zhao Yaqing without stopping her or saying anything. There was a complicated look on his face. No one could tell what he meant. Zhao Yaqing began to take off her coat again. She took off very slowly, and her heart was getting more and more nervous. Until she was completely naked, Sheng Jiyu narrowed his eyes and did not say a word. Sheng Jiyu only felt that his blood suddenly rushed to his belly, but he still maintained a calm posture. He really wanted to know what kind of scene it would be when such a beauty pleased him. Looking at Sheng Jiyu's indifferent expression, Zhao Yaqing's heart tightened and she slowly approached him. God knew how much courage she had used to walk toward him. Looking at Sheng Jiyu in front of her, she only felt an inexplicable sadness in her heart. At this moment, he was so superior, like a king who ruled the world. His whole body exuded such a noble aura. However, she was so humble that she wanted to please him for money. At that moment, she had an impulse to escape, but because of money, she could not escape even half a step away. Mr. Sheng, I'll take off your clothes for you, Zhao Yaqing said softly. Her voice was so soft that there seemed to be a hint of temptation in it. While she was talking, her little hand had already reached for the button of Sheng Jiyu's clothes. Sheng Jiyu looked at Zhao Yaqing's movements and was obviously stunned. When he wanted a woman in the past, he had just vented his anger. He had never taken off his clothes, and no woman had ever seen his body. Even that night 6 years ago, although he took off his clothes, it was dark on that day. In the past, he hated it when women touched him, but now, he didn't dislike Zhao Yaqing's touch. Instead, he had a kind of expectation. Mr. Sheng, do you still need a bath? I'll take a bath for you first. She still remembered that Sheng Jiyu had pressed another woman under his body at that time. She had better take a bath to help him with the disinfection. Sheng Jiyu raised his eyebrows slightly. He knew what this little woman was thinking in her heart, but he still nodded. He could still have her in the bathroom. Seeing that Sheng Jiyu had agreed, Zhao Yaqing stood up with a smile. I'm going to do something for Mr. Sheng, but Mr. Sheng, when can you give me the 10 million yuan? Zhao Yaqing suddenly asked with a hint of expectation on her little face. Once she got the money, she could redeem her father. Sheng Jiyu's smile froze on his face. How could this woman ruin the atmosphere? Would she die if she didn't mention it later? She really accepted what her son had said. Money was as important as life. Wait a month. Sheng Jiyu stood up unhappily. Originally, he was in a good mood. This woman was too disappointing. But his eyes couldn't help but stare at her naked body, and he couldn't move his eyes away. Hearing Shang Zhiyu's words, Zhao Yaqing lowered her face. He said that he would do it in a month. Is he crazy? Isn't their contract signed in a month? Mr. Shang, are you sure you don't want to get married in the future? She was right. If she could stay with him for a month and he ran away without giving her any money, she would suffer a great loss. Moreover, she would not be able to sue him for such a humiliating thing. Shang Zhiyu's face became darker and darker. What on earth did she do? Why did she mention money to me now? Why does she like money so much? I can get married every day. I can get 100,000 yuan once. Is that okay? Shang Zhiyu finally couldn't help but say. It was really hard for him to sleep with this woman. 100,000 yuan at a time? Zhao Yaqing stared at Shang Zhiyu with her eyes wide open. If I could earn 100,000 yuan a day, wouldn't that be 1 million yuan? Thinking of this, Zhao Yaqing raised her head happily. But when she saw the beautiful naked man in front of her, her face instantly burned. His figure was so perfect. His facial features were like carvings, his strong chest muscles, and his body was perfect to the extreme. Under the light, it gave off a dreamy color, which was unusually attractive. She looked down along his body, but when she saw his lower body was upright, she was shocked and suddenly looked away. How could his body be so big? It's not the first time for you to be shy. Am I older than your boss? As he spoke, Shang Zhiyu had already come over to Zhao Yaqing. With the cold breath of his body, he passed into her nose. Zhao Yaqing was shocked. Shang Zhiyu's words seemed to humiliate her, as if he had slapped her in the face, which made her heart ache. Yes, this was indeed not her first time. Her first time was the night when she was pregnant, and her first time was the night when Shang Zhiyu was in the car. Therefore, today was her third time. Zhao Yaqing looked at Shang Zhiyu again with difficulty, but her eyes were no longer as bright as before. Instead, they became a little dark, making it hard for others to see through her heart. Mr. Shang, you're right. It's not my first time anyway, so I don't have to pretend to be shy. Mr. Shang has always liked to be shy, so I wanted to pretend to be shy. I didn't expect that Mr. Shang would see through me at a glance. It seems that I'm not skilled enough. I'll work hard. Zhao Yaqing's words were particularly calm, echoing in the big room. Shang Zhiyu narrowed his eyes slightly. Although she said it very calmly, he could clearly feel the sadness spreading from her body. At that moment, he really wanted to hold her in his arms. Shang Zhiyu didn't say anything else and turned into the bathroom. Zhao Yaqing forced a bitter smile and followed her into the bathroom. Her life was destined to be stained with stains. In the bathroom, she gently wiped Shang Zhiyu's body. Her movements were very light, for fear that Shang Zhiyu would be unhappy. Didn't you eat? Shang Zhiyu said discontentedly. Was she wiping her body? It was lighter than an itch, just like a gust of wind. If it weren't for the faint lily fragrance on her body, would he have thought that she was no longer there? Zhao Muqing pursed her lips and did not speak, but she used some strength. But she really did not eat. Because she thought that she would come to see him at night, she was so flustered that she could not eat anything. Are you trying to please me with such a cold face? How can I have such desire? If you don't want to, then forget it. Shang Zhiyu said again. Looking at her gloomy face, it seemed that he owed her a lot of money. Hearing Shang Zhiyu's words, a smile appeared on her face. Although the smile was very far-fetched, she finally showed a smile. Shang Zhiyu looked at Zhao Yaqing's expression and waved her away. His face seemed to be full of displeasure. He bought her for happiness and not for such a sad face. Even if she was dissatisfied with him, she could not show it in front of him. Well, don't laugh anymore, Shang Zhiyu said coldly. He was inexplicably irritated. This was a deal that he was willing to do, and it was she who came to him. Was he going to make her happy? Although the arrogance under his body had become hard, Zhao Yaqing made him very annoyed. There was a faint feeling in his heart that he didn't want to embarrass her. Mr. Shang, my mood may be a little abnormal, but I'm absolutely satisfied with Mr. Shang's request. Ever since Shang Zhiyu said that, it's not the first time that I'm still shy. She had been in a low mood, as if she had been touched to the bottom. When she touched the softest part of her heart, She couldn't help but feel sad. Shang Jiyu wanted to speak again, but as soon as he turned his head, he saw the charming copper body. Under the reflection of the watery light, her body was shining with a faint luster. Her neck was like a white swan, and her attractive collarbone was down, but it was white and flawless. He suddenly felt that all the blood in his body was constantly pouring down. Then let's slowly recover our emotions in the water. As soon as Shang Jiyu finished speaking, he turned around and pulled Zhao Yaqing into the bath. The bath here was big enough to accommodate the two of them. Before Zhao Yaqing could scream, she had been pulled into the water by Shang Jiyu and fell into his arms in an instant. Suddenly, she felt something on her butt. She was shocked. She knew what it was. Her little face suddenly turned red. With the tenderness in his heart, Shang Jiyu's big palm was no longer idle. He skillfully wandered around Zhao Yaqing's body, feeling the trembling of her body. Her skin was very tight, and the touch was very good. Zhao Yaqing only felt an electric current flowing through her body, which made her have a strange feeling. She was not very disgusted, but her heart was still in pain. "You are so beautiful." Shang Jiyu couldn't help but praise her, and his sexy thin lips fell down at that moment. Zhao Yaqing only felt that her whole body shook and immediately tensed up. Feeling Shang Jiyu's words, her thin lips were as cold as his. The unique lemon fragrance was stimulating her nerves. Shang Jiyu's kiss went all the way down, all the way to her attractive collarbone, and then down to her charming plumpness. He licked her with the tip of his tongue. Zhao Yuqing only felt a sense of numbness spread throughout her whole body. It was obvious that she felt it, but there was a sense of humiliation coming over her. Did he do this just to embarrass her? Shang Jiyu suddenly held the little white rabbit in his mouth and bit it hard. It seemed that he was punishing her thoughts just now. She was thinking about something in front of him. Did she miss a man? Did she miss her child's father? Looking at the expression on Zhao Muqing's face, she thought, "It's so painful for me to do this kind of thing with him. Is it because of another man?" At this moment, his man's self-esteem seemed to have been insulted. His kiss became fanatical. No woman had dared to ignore him and even thought of another man in front of him. He suddenly picked her up. Before they could dry their bodies, he pressed her against the glass table in the room. He kissed her crazily and absorbed her beauty. Zhao Yaqing only felt that his kiss was very painful, but she had no way to resist. She could only let him kiss her cruelly. She couldn't help groaning, and her little hand gently pressed against his chest. After groaning, even she couldn't help but be shocked. She was actually groaning. After hearing the moan, Shang Jiyu seemed to have been invited. His big palm suddenly pressed down on her body and suddenly entered. Ah! The heart-wrenching pain coming from her lower body made her couldn't help exclaiming, but she didn't know when the scream turned into a groan. "Come with me," Shang Jiyu ordered in a domineering manner. Her body was still so tight and beautiful that he had always wanted her. Zhao Yaqing kept her eyes closed. After hearing Shang Jiyu's order, she stretched out her slender arm and wrapped it around Shang Jiyu's neck. For the sake of money, she accepted the humiliation he gave her. "Open your eyes." Shang Jiyu was still ordering. Didn't she want to see him? Was she still thinking about another man in her heart? Shang Jiyu attacked angrily. Hearing Shang Jiyu's words, Zhao Yaqing felt a pain in her heart. Did he not even give her the last bit of self-esteem? Did he want her to open her eyes so that she could know clearly that she was being trampled on by him? The corners of her mouth could not help but show a bitter smile. For money, she could only listen to him. At that moment, she suddenly opened her eyes. The pair of clear eyes instantly met the pair of cold and slightly angry eyes. Zhao Yuqing looked at Shang Jiyu, with strong desire and faint dissatisfaction in his eyes. Shang Jiyu suddenly turned around and made her crawl on the edge of the table, asking for her from behind. Zhao Yaqing raised her eyes and looked into the mirror. Was the red-faced, embarrassed woman in the mirror her? She closed her eyes again in humiliation. She had never been so humiliated as she was now. A drop of crystal-clear tears fell from the corner of her eyes and fell on the crystal glass. In the mirror, there was a beautiful but embarrassed little face. Looking at Zhao Yaqing in the mirror, Shang Jiyu's figure paused, and his face changed slightly. She looked so sad and beautiful, which made his heart suddenly ache. But when he thought of the love she had shared with others, his soft heart quickly disappeared, and what he got in return was a stronger collision. Well, unable to restrain the strength that Shang Jiyu exerted, she groaned, but she still tried not to moan. Call her out. Shang Jiyu ordered again. Was this woman so painful under him? Had she been very happy when she was under other men? Zhao Muqing gritted her teeth and then moaned. She was his lover. Because of the money, she sold all her money. At this moment, she felt so dirty. Ah. She cried out all her endurance just now. This was an instinctive reaction of her body. She couldn't help crying out. Since Shang Jiyu asked her to call out, then she would call out. Shang Jiyu had never heard such a good moan. Her voice was like the sound of nature at this time, deeply stimulating his nerves and making him want more. You're so beautiful. Shang Jiyu couldn't help but praise her. He was the most excited at the moment, but she was the most painful at this time. After the lingering love, the bathroom was full of the smell of decay. Shang Jiyu finally held Zhao Yaqing in his arms. Zhao Yaqing could only lean in his arms because she had no strength left in her body. She probably didn't even have the strength to stand up. Just now, I asked for 4 times, 400,000. Zhao Yaqing said weakly. At that time, she clearly remembered that he was brave. His desire and possession were 4 times, and she could get 400,000. Shang Jiyu's face darkened instantly. He found that sooner or later he would be pissed off by her when he was with this woman. She was still thinking about money even when she was doing that kind of thing? Was she doing this with him just for money? He pushed her away angrily, got up, put on a bath towel, and went out without even looking back. Zhao Yaqing squatted on the ground and looked at Shang Jiyu, who turned around and left. She couldn't help but smile bitterly. Men used the lower half of their bodies to think. After everything was done, he could leave without care about her body. It was obvious that he didn't expect it, but in the face of such a reality, her heart couldn't help but hurt. After squatting for a while, she wanted to get up, but after several attempts, she failed, and her face became paler and paler. She climbed to the wall and finally stood up with the help of the wall. She picked up the bath towel and wrapped herself up. Enduring the pain of her lower body, she walked out with the help of the wall. When she came out, there was nothing outside, just like her heart. At this moment, her heart seemed to be empty. She smiled bitterly and walked to the bed with difficulty. Finally, she lay down as she wished. At the moment when she lay on the bed, tears could not help falling from the corners of her eyes again. They flowed to the pillow and disappeared in an instant. Looking at the ceiling above her head, her high and sharp eyes became empty. Her body seemed to be numb from the pain, and she didn't feel anything at all. She closed her eyes quietly. If she could, she really wanted to sleep like this. The child was her only concern. Perhaps she was too tired and soon fell asleep. In her dream, she only felt that she seemed to have a fire resistance. It was very hot, but sometimes she felt like she was in an ice cellar. It was so cold that he almost couldn't breathe. Suddenly, she felt someone covering her with a blanket. Only then did she feel a little warmer. She clenched the blanket tightly, as if only in this way could she feel warmer. She only felt a warmth on her face, and soon, a smile appeared on her face. Yenyang, come over and let mommy hug you, Zhao Yaqing suddenly said. While she was talking, she held her hands tightly on her face and smiled with satisfaction. Shang Jiyu originally wanted to touch whether she had a fever on her forehead. Her little face was extremely red, but he didn't expect that she would grab his hand. Shang Jiyu frowned slightly. She looked like a woman without a sense of security, and even her son could rely on her. With a flip of his hand, Shang Jiyu gently pulled her little hand onto the bed and held her in his arms. Suddenly, a scent of lily fragrance wafted into his nostrils. At that moment, he was in a trance, thinking of the night 6 years ago. He couldn't help but hold the transfer bead in his pocket. This transfer bead had been with him for 6 years. He once thought of taking out the transfer bead and letting her take the initiative to come to him. However, when he thought of that, it was a little troublesome. There would definitely be many women coming to identify things. Shang Jiyu gently held Zhao Yaqing's long hair with his hand. In fact, he had a special feeling for this woman. He always wanted to get close to her inexplicably and kiss her inexplicably. There were still tears in the corner of her eyes. She must have cried just now. He just went out to answer a phone call. When he came back, she had fallen asleep. He couldn't help but think of the night 6 years ago. He couldn't remember what kind of feeling it was, but he knew that he was crazy that night and was obsessed with that woman. The same scent of lily fragrance that he liked was on her body. If he couldn't find the woman 6 years ago, he would release this transfer bead to find her. He would pay for it, and he didn't believe that the woman wouldn't come out. Wasn't it for the sake of money that year? She loved money so much. When she saw the money, she would definitely come back to find him. Holding Zhao Yaqing in his arms, in that instant, she overlapped with the woman in the darkness 6 years ago. He put away the transfer pearl in his hand and put it back into his pocket. He lay beside Zhao Yaqing and fell asleep. When Zhao Yaqing woke up in the morning, Shang Jiyu was still asleep. She looked at him quietly. Looking at his carved facial features and his angel-like appearance, she couldn't help but stretch out her hand. Just a second before she touched Shang Jiyu's face, the insult he gave her last night surged up. Her hand seemed to be burned by something, instantly retracted, and then fled. When Shang Jiyu woke up, there was nothing around him. There was still the scent of the lily in the room, which seemed to prove that they had slept together last night. He put on his clothes elegantly. After washing up, he called the driver to pick him up. Suddenly, he thought that Lin Fan had asked the driver to fire him. He didn't know if he had found him. While Shang Jiyu was thinking, his cell phone rang. "Mr. Shang, where are you?" "I'll pick you up," Lin Fan said anxiously. He was going to an important ball today, but Shang Jiyu was still nowhere to be seen. "Well, come to the bar to pick me up." As soon as he finished speaking, Shang Jiyu quickly walked out. It seemed that Lin Fan had not found the driver for him, so he came by himself. Thinking of the driver who peed the seat for him, he felt disgusted. "Let's have a meeting first. The ball will start at 9 o'clock. Shang Jiyu had regained his usual coldness after getting in the car. "Yes." Lin Fan secretly looked at Shang Jiyu. There seemed to be a lack of coldness in his tone. It seemed that he was satisfied last night. "What are you looking at? You are allowed to find a driver for me in a day." Shang Jiyu glared at Lin Fan unhappily. He looked at Lin Fan in a fair and square way, but he still looked at him secretly. Was he that scary? Yes. Lin Fan immediately lowered his head. He was really dark. He actually asked him to find the driver within a day. Today, he had to accompany him to the ball. How could he find the driver? After coming out, Zhao Yaqing went straight into the pharmacy. Shang Jiyu didn't take any measures last night. If she was pregnant, it would be troublesome, so she bought an emergency contraceptive pill. Looking at the small pill in her hand, she finally smiled and raised her head to put the pill into her mouth. Only then did she let out a sigh of relief. While Lin Fan was driving, he happened to pass by. At a glance, Shang Jiyu saw Zhao Yaqing smiling with a medicine bottle in her hand. Yesterday night, he had never seen her smiling so happily. Obviously, he was stunned. Except for him, she could smile so brightly anywhere else. Did she hate her so much? Lin Fan seemed to have noticed Zhao Yuqing. He carefully looked at Shang Jiyu's expression and slowed down subconsciously, as if he was waiting for him to speak at any time. "Stop." Sure enough, as Lin Fan expected, Shang Jiyu shouted to stop. He had a hunch that Shang Jiyu was absolutely interested in Zhao Yuqing. Otherwise, he would not care so much about her. Shang Jiyu slammed the car door and strode toward Zhao Yuqing. When he looked at the pharmacy behind her, he was shocked and suddenly had a bad feeling. As soon as Zhao Yaqing swallowed the pill, she suddenly felt that her little hand was grabbed. She turned her head back and immediately, like a child who had done something wrong, she immediately carried the pill in her hand. Shang Jiyu had already seen the pill in her hand. He reached out and grabbed the medicine bottle from Zhao Muqing's hand. He was so angry that his face turned green. Damn it, this woman was taking contraceptive pills, but she dared to take this privately. Didn't she want to be pregnant with his child? Think about the woman in the past. All of them wanted to be pregnant with his child so that they could capture his heart. But the woman in front of him wanted to be separated from him so much. What is this? Shang Jiyu angrily raised the contraceptive pill in his hand in front of Zhao Yuqing. For a moment, He really wanted to cut open the woman's head and see what was in her head. Zhao Yuqing looked at the contraceptive pills in front of her and curled her lips. This bottle of contraceptive pills cost me 50 yuan? It's all this man's fault for not taking any measures. Mr. Shang, this bottle of cured pills costs 50 yuan. Because all the responsibilities belong to Mr. Shang, is Mr. Shang going to give this 50 yuan back to me? Zhao Yaqing even reached out her little hand to Sheng Jiyu. It could be seen that Sheng Jiyu's face was livid, and the blue veins on his forehead stood out. Damn it, this woman still had the face to ask him for money. Sheng Jiyu was so angry that he threw the medicine on the ground. The medicine bottle was scattered and fell to the ground. Seeing this, Zhao Yaqing's heart ached. These were all money. He didn't care, but she cared. She wanted to shake off Sheng Jiyu's hand to pick up the medicine, but unfortunately, Sheng Jiyu did not give her the chance. Instead of letting go, he held Zhao Yuqing's hand even tighter. What on earth do you want to do? Zhao Yaqing's tone was obviously full of impatience. This man likes to do things with me, doesn't he? However, at this moment, a woman suddenly squatted down. After seeing the pills on the ground, she reached out and ate one. Did I save some money today? Then, she left in front of Zhao Yuqing and Sheng Jiyu. Looking at the woman's back, Zhao Yuqing was speechless. Not only did the woman love money, but she was also stingy. She was more powerful than her and even saved the money for the contraceptive pills. Don't eat this again in the future. Sheng Jiyu said coldly, and his tone was obviously softer than before. In fact, he wanted to say that it was always not good for women to eat this, but he didn't say it out loud. How can I not eat this? What if I am pregnant? Zhao Yaqing blurted out. She would never be pregnant with his child. Sheng Jiyu's face, which had just calmed down, instantly darkened again. Isn't this woman trying to coax me a little? As long as she begs me, I can also use some entertainment. But when I see her tone, I'm very angry. So what if you're pregnant? It's not like you haven't had a baby. Sheng Jiyu didn't intend to have a baby, but he just didn't like Zhao Muqing's lofty look. He wanted to cut off her arrogance. Zhao Yaqing looked at Sheng Jiyu in shock. What does he mean? Does he want me to give birth to a baby? Suddenly, she thought of the humiliation he had given her and could not help sneering. How could I give birth to a baby for him? I'm sorry, Mr. Shang. We're just lovers. Maybe it's because I'm just a woman you bought to play with for a month. That's all we have to do, Zhao Yuqing said indifferently. It was an insult to her to have an abortion. She would never allow herself to have another child for someone else. Thinking of this, Zhao Yaqing couldn't help but think of the child she had taken away at that time. She felt sour in her heart. That day, before she could hold the child had been taken away. A woman who played for a month, Sheng Jiyu gritted his teeth and said word by word. This woman dares to belittle me so low, and she even said that she was a woman who was played. Isn't that the case? Zhao Yaqing raised her eyebrows, and her tone was full of sarcasm. Sheng Jiyu narrowed his dangerous eyes. He found that this woman was absolutely an excellent woman who could make him angry. He found that every word she said could make him angry. Since you want to be played, then I will do as you wish, Zhao Yaqing. Sheng Jiyu said coldly. His whole body was still exuding a noble aura. He suddenly grabbed Zhao Yaqing's hand and, ignoring her opposition, pulled her into the car. What are you going to do? I have to go to work. Zhao Yaqing was very dissatisfied. As for Sheng Jiyu, she found that she hated him more and more. Your boss is right in front of you. Why are you still on duty? As Sheng Jiyu spoke, he had already dragged Zhao Yaqing into the car. Zhao Yaqing felt that Sheng Jiyu was a madman and a pervert. What good would it do to him if he treated her like this? Mr. Shang, where are you going? I'm in charge of the secretary. If you want to go on a business trip, will there be extra rewards? Zhao Yaqing had calmed down at this time. Anyway, she had already signed an agreement with him. It was better for her to get more money from him. An extra reward? There's one in the lover agreement you signed, and it's on call. So, there's no reward. Sheng Jiyu answered unhurriedly. He didn't care about the money, but he blamed her for not coaxing him, so he didn't want to give her the money. Sure enough, the next moment, Zhao Yaqing's little face had been pulled down, and her expression was not good. This Sheng Jiyu was really stingy. He was not willing to give her any more money. Of course, if your performance makes me satisfied. How much money will there be? Zhao Yaqing suddenly asked Sheng Jiyu. The corner of Sheng Jiyu's mouth twitched. In her conversation with him, every word could not be left without money, but he could feel the arrogance and stubbornness in her bones. Even Lin Fan, who was driving the car, couldn't help laughing. This woman was really straightforward. She was straightforward about money. It depends on your performance. Sheng Jiyu raised his eyebrows and said. At the same time, he also glanced at Zhao Muqing's sexy clothes. She wore them when she came to him last night. She should have not returned home yet, so she had not changed. Zhao Yaqing stared at Sheng Jiyu with her eyes wide open. What he said made her very uncertain. How could she show her ability to satisfy him? In other words, what did he want from her? Sheng Jiyu also stared at Zhao Yaqing. In the end, his eyes fell on Zhao Yaqing's plump figure, which was seductive and smooth. He then looked at her thighs, which were as white as jade, and a skirt. Her whole body looked extremely hot. He suddenly felt a little angry, as if someone had peeked at his things. Don't dress like this in the future. Sheng Jiyu's tone was still cold. This woman dressed so hot in the daytime was on the street. Was she trying to seduce men? Zhao Yaqing's big eyes widened a little. She suddenly found that this man was not an ordinary one. Then she looked at her clothes. What's wrong with her dressing like this? There were so many people dressed like this on the street. Was he afraid that she would be eaten by men? Mr. Shang, what kind of clothes do you want me to wear? Zhao Yaqing couldn't help asking. There was a flash of brightness in her eyes. If she did as he said, could he buy clothes for her? Sheng Jiyu's deep eyes darkened a little, and he took in the bright light in Zhao Yuqing's eyes. The thing in her mind was indeed money. If you want to wear clothes in the future, you can take them directly. At that time, you can just report them directly to the police. Sheng Jiyu suddenly said with good intentions. He couldn't be too harsh on this girl. After she experienced all the hardships, he would give her some benefits. Zhao Yaqing was the best person to hear since she knew Sheng Jiyu. Then when she bought clothes for her children in the future, she could take the name brand. Anyway, she didn't have to pay for it. Thinking of this, Zhao Yaqing's eyes were almost shining. After she gave her children the name brand, the children in their school would not look down on their children. Lin Fan, go change her dress for a ball, Sheng Jiyu said indifferently. He ignored the excitement on Zhao Muqing's face. This little woman was quite easy to satisfy. The reason why he didn't want to release her father so soon was that he had no reason to catch her after releasing her father. Maybe he subconsciously wanted to wrap her around him. Yes. Lin Fan said respectfully as he drove. However, he felt that this woman was very interesting. She was different from other women. Maybe she and Sheng Jiyu could really develop some feelings for each other. In the end, Sheng Jiyu picked a red tube-cut dress for her. In fact, she didn't like this dazzling color. But when Sheng Jiyu said that he would give this dress to her, she didn't hesitate to accept it. When Zhao Yaqing followed Sheng Jiyu into the ball, she had already become the center of attention, and everyone looked at her. At this time, O Ting suddenly came over. The clothes she wore tonight were pink. With her snow-white skin, she looked very elegant, but her expression looked so annoying. Today is our engagement day. Let's go there quickly. O Ting suddenly said, which shocked Zhao Yuqing so much that she couldn't help but widen her eyes. She instinctively wanted to pull back her small hand, but Sheng Jiyu didn't let go at this time. At this time, several women had come over, and they all stood behind O Ting with disdain on their faces. She's my girlfriend. I told you before, Sheng Jiyu said indifferently. He held Zhao Yuqing's hand tightly, as if he could feel the sweat on her palm. O Ting's face also became a little ugly, but she was still smiling. She calmly stood on the other side of Sheng Jiyu. In this way, she suddenly became another scenery. However, at this moment, Sheng Jiyu was dragged away by an old client. Wait for me. Sheng Jiyu whispered in Zhao Yaqing's ear, and then he left. O Ting took the opportunity to follow him. She also took Sheng Jiyu's arm, but Sheng Jiyu did not object. Looking at the scene in front of her, Zhao Yuqing suddenly felt very dazzling, and a trace of confusion flashed through her heart. She was stunned and didn't know what to do. Suddenly, she felt a chill on her chest. She lowered her head and her face instantly changed. She saw that her chest had been pierced by the red wine, and it slowly flowed down along her clothes. The whole dress was stuck to her body. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see a person standing here." A sharp female voice came into Zhao Yuqing's ears. Looking at her embarrassed look, Zhao Yuqing's face changed slightly. Damn it, is this woman indirectly scolding me as a human being? She could bear Shang Jiyu's humiliation because he gave her money, but she had no reason to endure the humiliation of others. Zhao Yuqing raised her head while thinking. However, the moment she raised her head, another glass of red wine came up to her. Her whole face had been splashed wet, and her hair had been stained. The red wine fell down along her hair, making her look extremely embarrassed. She stretched out her little hand to touch her face, looked at the table behind her, reached out, grabbed a bunch of things in her hand, and threw them at the woman in front of her in an instant. Then she also picked up the wine glass with her other hand, and suddenly splashed it on the woman in front of her. Obviously, the woman didn't expect that Zhao Yuqing would suddenly make a move, and she was also embarrassed. When she reacted, she asked her boyfriend next to her to teach Zhao Yuqing a lesson for her. How could Zhao Yuqing be a match for a man? The man just stretched out a hand and pushed her to the ground. Besides, there were people around who were laughing at her, so they didn't reach out to help her. At this time, Shang Jiyu suddenly looked over. It was just one glance. He quickly turned his head and looked in another direction. Zhao Muqing looked at Shang Jiyu blankly. It turned out that he would not reach out to help her. Thinking about it, it made sense. She was just a lover he bought. Did he have to care about her? She smiled bitterly and then stood up with some difficulty. Before she could steady her feet, she felt someone pulling her from behind. The sole of her feet slipped and she landed on the ground again in a gorgeous manner. Because she stepped on the dress, the moment she landed on the ground, she felt that there was nothing in front of her chest, and the dress slipped down. Zhao Muqing only felt embarrassed. With her current position of crawling on the ground, if she wanted to leave the ground, she would probably walk away. She could only crawl on the ground like this. For the first time, she would be so embarrassed. She had never been as embarrassed as she was today. Zhao Muqing only felt the laughter in her ear. She wanted to ignore those sounds, but she found that she couldn't ignore them no matter how hard she tried. Only now did she realize that a woman's jealousy could be so strong. The reason why they took revenge on her was that they were jealous of her. At this moment, Zhao Yuqing suddenly felt quiet around her. The next second, she felt a black shadow above her head. She raised her head subconsciously. "You? Senior?" Zhao Yuqing blurted out excitedly. It was him, Zhang Lingyun. Why was he here? Only then did she suddenly remember that he arrived yesterday afternoon. Because she wanted to see Shang Jiyu, she did not pick him up with Zhang Weiyun. Zhao Yuqing just looked at Zhang Lingyun quietly. At this time, he was like a superior prince, with well-proportioned and delicate features, sword-shaped eyebrows, a handsome nose, and sexy thin lips. He suddenly took off his coat and put it on Zhao Yuqing's body. "How did you become Shang Jiyu's girlfriend?" As he asked, he helped Zhao Yuqing up. She was so amazing just now, and Shang Jiyu was standing next to her. They were so well matched together. He had thought of many scenes of meeting her, but he didn't expect that when he met her again, she was held in the hands of another man. He thought that Zhao Yuqing and Shang Jiyu were in love. He thought that Zhao Yuqing was happy, but the scene just now made his heart ache. Zhao Yuqing just looked at Zhang Lingyun and said nothing. She didn't know how to explain. She couldn't tell him that she was the mistress that Shang Jiyu had bought. "Senior, you are still as handsome as before." Zhao Yuqing changed the topic, but her feet suddenly softened. She leaned into Zhang Lingyun's arms, and there was a heart-wrenching pain in her feet. She had a bad feeling that she must have sprained her foot just now. Before Zhang Lingyun could answer her question, he felt a warmth in his arms. His face was full of worry, but he couldn't help but say, "I also know that I'm handsome. Are you ready to throw yourself into my arms now? Then I'll accept that you throw yourself into my arms." While speaking, Zhang Lingyun had already picked up Zhao Muqing. He knew that she had sprained her ankle. Now she even had problems walking. If he didn't hold her, would she make a fool of herself again? He still loved this little girl as much as he used to do. Zhao Yuqing was speechless. In her impression, Zhang Lingyun had always been a gentle and cultivated man, but she didn't expect him to joke with her now. It seemed that there would be a lot of changes in a person. Time could forget one person, but it could also change one person. There was a faint soap fragrance on his body. Just like 6 years ago, he never used the bath milk. It was just because she had said that she liked the faint soap fragrance on his body, so he still remembered her words deeply. She is really shameless. She seduced Mr. Shang and hooked up with Mr. Ling of the Zhang group. This woman is really coquettish. A woman suddenly said. However, after the woman spoke like this, everyone began to talk in a low voice. Although they did not dare to talk about it in front of Zhang Lingyun, he could talk about it in a low voice. Zhao Yaqing looked at Zhang Lingyun awkwardly. At this moment, she wanted to jump out of his arms, but she was reluctant. She had a strange feeling in her heart. This embrace gave her an inexplicable sense of security. If you don't want to listen to those people, you can cover your ears. If you don't want to see those people, you can get into my arms and bury your head so that you don't have to see them, Zhang Lingyun said softly. His words were full of love and care for Zhao Yuqing. Even if he loved her, he had not changed for 6 years. Hearing Zhang Lingyun's words, there was an inexplicable warmth in her heart. He was still so kind to her, just like 6 years ago. If that had not happened 6 years ago, maybe she would have agreed to be with him, and maybe they would have been very happy together. However, while Zhao Yaqing was daydreaming, Zhang Lingyun suddenly stopped. Before Zhao Yaqing could react, a cold voice came from above her head. I just went to talk with a client. I didn't expect that my woman would take a fancy to my good friend. His tone was very calm, and there was a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. But the calmer he was, the more chilling his voice sounded. Zhao Yaqing only felt that her whole body shook, and the little face buried in Zhang Lingyun's arms immediately poked out. I sprained my ankle. I can't walk anymore, so... Zhao Yaqing explained in a panic. At this moment, her heart beat faster, as if a child who had done something wrong was caught. Obviously, Zhang Lingyun didn't expect that Zhao Yaqing would be so afraid of Sheng Jiyu. He frowned tightly. In his heart, Zhao Yaqing had always been arrogant, stubborn, and a woman who never disdained to explain to anyone. But now, she was so afraid of Sheng Jiyu's misunderstanding? Did she care so much about Sheng Jiyu? Since they really loved each other, then why was Sheng Jiyu indifferent when she was in such a mess just now? Sheng Jiyu glanced at Zhao Yaqing's feet, and finally fixed his eyes on Zhao Yaqing's face. He suddenly approached Zhang Lingyun and held Zhao Yaqing in his arms in front of everyone. It seemed that he was swearing his ownership of Zhao Yaqing. He was proving to everyone that Zhao Yaqing was his woman and could only be his. At that moment, Zhao Yaqing suddenly looked at Zhang Lingyun, and Zhang Lingyun was also looking at her. Their eyes met, and both of them suddenly had an unspeakable feeling. Sheng Jiyu looked at the two people in front of him and narrowed his eyes dangerously. This was a sign of his anger before he got angry. Very good, this woman actually dared to fall in love with another man in front of me? He suddenly thought of Zhao Yaqing's 2 children. Could it be that her 2 children are Zhang Lingyun's? Could it be that she loved me so much that she felt so painful when she slept with me? She's my woman. I don't want the friendship between us to go bad. With that, he left with Zhao Yuqing's diameter in his arms.